Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live episode of Soul Talks with Alka. We are a little late today and we apologize. The computers were not working with us today. So we apologize for any delay that this has caused you. I know some people have been waiting and have been messaging me saying, Alka, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? So again, we apologize, but we're here. We started our new format in which we are now doing live with Facebook because in this atmosphere where we're dealing with COVID-19, we want to create a space where we can build conversations and we can create an atmosphere where we can all learn from each other. So I'm encouraging you to join us today in that conversation with Dr. Jain so we can ask her questions. Dr. Jain is, she's a Gen Z expert. She is joining us from Fairfax, Virginia, and she's an author, a motivational speaker, and a life coach for teenagers and young adults. Welcome, Dr. Jain.
Thank you, Alka. It's a pleasure to have me on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So, Dr. Jain, how are you seeing the kids deal with the struggles right now?
So I coach kids, right? And I've been coaching kids since the pandemic started. I have to say they're still struggling. They don't know the new reality. They're not able to come to terms with reality as of now. The frustration levels are a little down, but they're going down to the extent of causing depression.
Oh, really? They are?
Yes, it's causing a little bit of depression. I think they've come down from anger. There was a curve, so they came down from anger to now depression. And they're struggling with, the common things that I'm hearing from all my kids is they're struggling with motivation. So I give them strategies for dealing with a lot of things. One of the primary ones is motivations.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because a teenage world is normally, and a young adult world is just anyway so hormonal, right? Yeah. And now with all of this, their proms are canceled, their graduations are canceled. They can't see their friends, so they must be going bonkers.
They are, but here's what I tell my kids all the time is when anybody comes to me with a question like this, what is going to happen to my senior year? My career is going, I'm going to have no career. I'm not going to be able to go to college. There's one thing that I tell them, and I urge every parent to try and talk your child out of anxiety with this. I tell my child this. I say, the one thing good about this COVID-19 is that every child along with you on this planet is in the same boat as you.
That's exactly right. Such a great point. Everyone is in the same boat.
Correct. So you're going to come into a new reality. We don't know what the new reality is going to look like. However, it's definitely going to be a better reality. And whatever happens to everybody else is what's going to happen to you. So if all juniors in the world are not going to go to school, guess what? They'll find something else to do. They'll find the colleges are also looking for kids, right? So they'll find an alternative method of education. So I urge every parent to tell your kids, you're not in this alone. We're all in this together.
What a nice line. We're all in this together. That's crucial for everybody to know, because the parents really, like, people are talking about the frontliners are being heroes, and the essential workers, but really the kids are really our heroes today, because their worlds have totally changed.
Not only, Alka, I think kids and parents, more than that, parents are heroes.
Yes.
A big shout out to every parent in the world who's actually dealing with this, whether your kids are small or they're teenagers. It's a challenge.
It is. What is in particular that they're struggling with? When you say the kids are struggling, what is their biggest challenge that they have right now?
I think so. As I said, the biggest challenge, one of them is motivation. So here's a strategy that I give if your child is struggling with motivation. Discipline and routine is the answer. Now, I go by this quote. Don't worry that your children are not listening to you. Worry that they're watching you. What you do is what your child will do.
So there's a really famous line. Yeah, there's a really famous line. Don't do as I say, do as I do.
Yeah. So they're just watching you. So if you have a routine, your child is bound to have a routine.
Yes.
So routine, a to-do list, discipline is what is going to get them and us through these challenging times. So that's one of the things that I hear. Then I also hear that I miss my friends. So here's what I tell my Gen Zs. Have a virtual party. Guess what? Let's step out. Let's just talk in the digital space. Put your phones in front of you. Share your fears. You know what?
Yeah.
Go take out a lemonade from the refrigerator, sit across the table with 5 of your friends and do that. Aren't we doing that? We're
Yes.
having virtual happy hours, right?
Yes. They need
So
that too. They need that social interaction as well with their own peers.
it raises your energy levels.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I'm hearing from them a lot. Then what else do I hear? Fear of the future, which is, again, I think every child is facing fear of the future, which is what I tell them, that everybody is in this together. That's one of them. So these are some of the struggles, the common struggles that that I'm coming across.
Even the adults are scared of the future. And Mona writes, Mona was one of our guests, and she's in Austin, and she has 3 children who have autism, and she's saying that routine and discipline are the key to happiness.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Like, I wake up in the morning, and here's another thing, Alka, that I'd say to parents is, can I tell you, self-love. I think first thing we need to do before being a parent, I think we're human beings, and we need to first take care of ourselves, because patience is what you're going to need with your kids right now.
Yes.
Right? In normal circumstances, we need patience, but especially in this one.
Yes.
So meditate, do yoga. The first thing that I do is yoga in the morning. Keeps me calm.
So when we were running late with our challenges, Unnatti was telling me, breathe, Alka, breathe. And I was like, I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late. And she was telling me, breathe. And that is a very good point for adults and for kids, but you can only teach kids what you're doing yourself. So it's important to do that. Right? So what advice would you give to your parents? Like you're saying, set a routine. So do you think the parents should set up a routine for the kids every day?
I think it's, no, you can't set up a routine for your teenager. So that's an impossible, right?
Okay.
But what you can do is you can, A, role model routine. B, you can sit with them, and you have to allow your children to process. So you can make your suggestions and then let them process it. So that's the one thing that I do.
So give me an example of that. Give me an example of that, because you have a teenager son. So give me an example of that.
So yesterday we were struggling with politics. We were having dinner conversations, and I felt that the kid was not well versed with what was happening around the world, not coronavirus, but in general politics. So I told him, I said, you know what, if I was you, what I would do is I would look at Washington Post every day, pick out those 5 points. What I do is I subscribe to CNN. They give me news in 5 points. I look at it and I'm all caught up, and I step out. And I left it.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything. So this morning he came to me, and I had that email. I was reading CNN. He had that email open on my computer. And guess what? He sat, he did that, and he said, Mom, can we go for a walk? We'll just talk about what we spoke about yesterday.
Wow.
So it's, I think somewhere down the line, we forget, right? Parents, inherently, we as parents can be very controlling, right? The control doesn't work with teenagers. You have to say it, step away, allow them to process.
Yeah, that's very key. You have to give them time and space to process.
And it's not that they're defying you. It's they don't have that much brain capacity. Their intellectual capacity is very limited.
Yeah.
So, and they're fighting hormonal balance. So they're not defying you. Anytime that your teenager is answering you back, he's not defying you.
Yeah.
He's just struggling within himself to find that balance.
Yeah.
And that's when he or she is looking at you for support.
Yeah. And how you lead your life and how you take care of yourself and are a role model to them. They're watching you very subtly for those cues as to what to do, right?
You'll be surprised. My son is a parrot. Sometimes I hear him and I actually think that I'm talking, because he actually is repeating the same words that I say. I use universe a lot. I use, everything happens for a reason. And that's become a part of his vocabulary.
Wow. But you practice that too, because even when I was getting a little flustered, you said, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. At its own time, it's going to happen. You were not flustered at all.
Well, I'm a yoga and a meditation instructor and all, and I'm raising a 16-year-old all by myself. Guess what?
You have lots of patience.
I can't afford to be flustered. And I've done a PhD for 5 years over and over and over again. So Anything goes after that.
Yeah, that's true. So you have a ton of patience. You're the guru of patience. That's awesome. So when do you know it's a good time to seek outside help? Like, so when should a parent say, you know what, some of these behaviors are okay for a child, a normal young adult or teenager, but some of these I think we need help. We need to do outside intervention.
I think there is a red flag when you see your child very angry.
Okay.
You see your child cooped up in the room and not talking at all. You see him, you see the mood swings, which is normal with teenage, but when you see extreme mood swings, then that's another red flag. When he doesn't have friends, when he's not able to hold on to friendships, that's a red flag. Yeah, pretty much. Those are the things that I would say. Or but even if a child is not able to, is struggling with speaking in public or actually speaking to you even, that means the child is struggling with low self-esteem. So that's another flag. He has a lot of fear inside. He or she has a lot of fear. So these are some of the, I always tell parents, I said, if I allow your child to talk, because if you don't allow your child to talk, your home is a safe haven, right? That's where it's the safest place for a child. Now, if a child is going to be scared of his parents, what do you think? When he's going to step out, he's going to be scared of the world. And you don't want your child to be scared of the world. Yeah. And these kids, Generation Z, these kids are very, very outspoken. They have a mind of their own. They want to make a difference. These are some of their star characteristics. So if we kind of allow them to bloom, they can be actual change agents for tomorrow.
Wow. Wow. So when parents, like a lot of, in the teenagers, the kids kind of withdraw, they don't want to talk to their parents a lot. How is it that the parents can encourage that behavior so they can watch, right? Is it particularly, like, what is the strategy that a parents can do? Because a lot of teenagers are like, they don't want to be with their parents. They're stuck right now with their parents.
Yeah. And I think this is a brilliant time. I think they're stuck with their parents, and this is what is actually going to bring about a change. So some of the strategies that you can use is, we as parents sometimes don't realize, but we tell our child to use the phone, or to not use the phone, and we tend to use the phones around them, right? We don't realize that. So when you're with your child, stop using the phone. Be very, very attentive to the child. When you're attentive to the child, it tells them they need to be attentive. And you can actually turn around and say, don't disrespect me. This is my time, just like this is your time, right? So that's one strategy. Get them in a closed environment. For instance, in a car, no phones. They're in a closed environment. They'll talk. Ask them open-ended questions. Questions that, if you ask them questions like, how was your day? It was good. What did you do? Nothing. What's happening? Nothing.
That sounds like such a difficult conversation.
You see what I mean? So what this is going to do is it's going to give you one word answer. So you have to frame your questions in a way that it actually starts a conversation. The third thing is talk about your day. So start talking about what happened with you. Because if you know normal human reaction, Alka is going to tell me, you know what, this is what happened to me today. And I was facing technological challenges and Facebook was troubling me. My immediate reaction is going to be, you know what, this happened to me yesterday on Facebook too. You see how that works?
Yes.
So when you talk about something, it's going to start that brain cell in his brain, and he's going to start talking to you. And now I'm not going to say this is going to happen overnight, but it will.
Yeah,
so some of the strategies.
These are just strategies, though, and you have to keep that in mind, and you have to keep yourself in check all the time to say, hey, what can I do to be better?
Very tall order. That's why I said parents are heroes as much as the nurses and the doctors out there right now.
Yeah, because it's a psychology of a parent. So when should parents know that your child needs a coach or a life coach, or they need someone like you to talk to? When does a parent need to be attuned to that? And if parents have to reach out to you, how would they reach out to you? But before you answer that question, Anita asked me a question today. As a PTO of a school, we see cases to handle in self-esteem issues Like if a kid is not into social media or TikTok, they're isolated in school. Not cool. So no friends there. There's too much pressure about social media.
Mm-hmm.
So because all friends are on the phone. So how would you deal with that situation if a parent came to you with that, saying my child is not into social media, but the friends are. So my child is being isolated for that.
Mm-hmm. So I think the child is being isolated, he still has to hold his ground. And that's what I teach my son too. You have to teach the child, which means the child is struggling with self-esteem issues because he's getting bullied in the form of not accepting social media. He or she you have to teach them how to stand their ground, that you don't have to come into peer pressure. And you have to explain these things to them. You don't have to come into peer pressure. You have to stand your ground, be yourself. The world will adjust.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the other people are doing. You are self-accountable. So teach them self-accountability. It's hard. It's very hard because, I mean, it's a lot of peer pressure. But I think if you constantly reiterate that message at home, that just be self-accountable, don't be accountable to other people, and don't allow other people to actually guide your life. You constantly reiterate that message. That should help.
Oh, okay. Very nice. So again, even for that, you have to know your child at home. You have to ask a lot of open-ended questions, and you have to be able to talk to them, right? Yes. And that's super important to have that open relationship, right?
Yes. Yes. And for that, the fear has to go away. I think we as parents sometimes sit on a pedestal saying we're parents. Right. And that's when we create that gap between the child and the parent.
Yeah, very true.
For instance, my child is lonely. Every child today says, okay, I'm missing my friends. That's another one of the things that we get a lot is I'm missing my friends.
Naturally.
So what I do now, I can't replace them for a friendship, but what I can do is be the best friend to my child as I can. So we even go and make TikToks together. Like yesterday, we made a TikTok together in which I was being silly and stupid. But what did he get? He actually showed that TikTok off to his friends. He got 1,000 followers on that.
Oh, wow.
You know, he was happy. He's like, Mom, see, you're so stupid in this. Okay, you know what? You got some shits and giggles out of that one. More power to you.
Yeah.
What did it do for me? It actually bridged that gap between me and my child.
That's awesome. So you just have to always figure out strategies
because otherwise you don't want them to look at you as a constant lecturer, right? They don't want that. They don't want to be hearing a motivational talk and a lecture every second of the day. So
right. Yeah, Radha is agreeing with you, and she's saying we have to give space to our kids to share their fears, and as parents, not judge them.
Yes, I think that's a big one. Thank you, Radha, for that. Don't judge your kids. Allow them to have meltdowns. It's all right for a teenager to yell and scream and cry. It's okay. You know, it's normal. We all have emotional meltdowns. So why not these kids? Why do we say, okay, you're being a teenager? We're putting them in a box. Yes. Later, when they've calmed down, hold them accountable. But at that time, allow them to express. So thank you, Radha. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah. So if parents, when should a parent know, you know what, now I think my child needs a life coach. I think my child needs to be going to someone who, other than me, who I think can guide them or just talk to them, right? Because sometimes someone else comes in and can say the same thing, but the kids will listen, especially Generation Z.
So I'm not self-promoting myself, but I think every child needs a life coach. Now, if you were to do a search on the internet, Gen Zs are actually saying right now that a life coach is important for a Generation Z. Now, why? Because these guys their brains have been wired with the internet so much. They've never seen a day without the internet from the day they were born. So they're very, very aware of what's going on around the world. So their intellectual capacity is much higher. They want to make a difference. They're not the normal kids who are actually going to step out and do a regular 9-to-5 job and stay in a job for 5 years.
Yeah.
Even if they're not getting benefits, right? So they will switch jobs very, very quickly.
Yes.
So it's imperative for every child, I think between 16 to 17, to start getting a life coach for the guidance, because this is the age, it's a very precarious age. This is the age where people actually struggle with self-esteem issues, with confidence issues. If they can pass this 1 year with some support, they will come out on the other side much more mentally healthier, because this
Wow.
is where their mental health struggles.
Yes, I agree. This is where they really struggle with themselves and their identity.
Yes. And yeah, go ahead. I will say something later. Go ahead.
No, I said this is where they struggle the most, I think. I
Yes,
absolutely
yes.
agree with you.
And this is the age where they will fall into bad company between
Mm.
16 to 18, when they struggle with self-esteem, peer pressure, confidence. They're going to college. They don't know what to do with their careers. They don't know what their passion is. So this is where a life coach comes in. So this is actually a good age. I mentor kids from 16. My lowest age is 15 and my highest is 25 as we speak right now. And every age I'm seeing a completely different child who's struggling with multiple issues.
Mm.
But 16 is the age to start.
So what happens at the age of 16, 17 that causes that? Is there a hormonal shift? What happens there? Why is that such a typical age?
Because you've hit puberty already. You're looking for your independence. You start driving. You want to step out and you want to get independent. You start getting a girlfriend. Your sexual urges increase. You want to. So driving is a big thing. That's when you're gaining your independence, right? So everything shifts, and you will see a difference in literally 2 to 3 months after 15 and a half. You'll see a completely different child. They will start drawing away from you. They will start finding their independence. And that's when most of them struggle, because they hit puberty. Puberty is almost over.
Yeah. So Radha is asking, will storytelling help kids?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Remember, storytelling, especially your own stories. And I always relate to my children who I coach with stories. Storytelling relates to not only kids, they relate to adults too.
Adults too, yeah.
I mean, Alka is a live example here, right?
No, so but generally, do you talk about, when you're saying you're talking about your stories, you tell them about your childhood and struggles, or what type of stories are the most effective?
Yes, sometimes I do. Like the other day, one of my child, I can't recollect an example right now, but he faced it exactly the similar situation, something with his dad. He was 23, and he faced with his dad, and I turned around and said, you know what? Strange. Yes, it was. He turned around and said, I'm not close to my dad. I've barely spent any time with my dad. So I took him back. I said, strange you say that, because you know what? When I was a child, I barely spent any time with my dad. And it's not the physical proximity that matters, but I'm the closest to my dad. I'm closer to my dad than to my mom. So it's the 5 minutes of conversation. He actually related to that. And he said, okay, I don't need to be with my dad all the time to actually be close to him. Look, I can bridge this gap much better by just having a 5-minute or a 10-minute conversation with him.
Yeah.
So yes, your own stories help a lot. They can gel better with kids.
Yeah. So, and for the audience, Anita and the other people who are watching, Radha, what are your kids struggling with during lockdown? And Dr. Jain is a resource here. So ask more questions, because she's here to help you. She's
absolutely
does this. So whatever other questions we have, this is the time to ask her. But Dr. Jain, if they wanted to get in touch with you later on, what is the way that someone can reach you?
I have a website which is called Gen Z and You, all one word.
Oh, A-N-D?
Yes.
And you? Nice. Yes. And you is Y-O-U or just?
As in the alphabet U.
Oh,
as
nice. Gen Z and You. I'll put that also on this so everybody can go to it as a resource.
And my email is jane.unnatti@gmail.
Nice. Okay, so I'll add all of those three. I think this was an extremely informative conversation, because you know what? As a parent, you need one or two strategies, because it's all a process. It's all little milestones that you do with your child that make a little difference in the kids. Yes. And thank you so much, Dr. Jain. Thank you for being such an awesome sport in the delay that we had today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing your pearls with us. We really appreciate it. We want to thank the audience for joining us. We will be back again next week. Actually, next week we have Brandy Bisland, and she's actually is a mother of 2 girls, 45-year-old, and she was COVID positive, Dr. Jain. And she has recovered now. She's going to come and share her story with us and
Oh, I
tell
look forward to
everyone.
seeing that.
Yes, and that's going to be next week on at 6 p.m. on Facebook Live, God willing, because we had a little thing today. So God willing, we'll see everybody
Alka,
here.
I'll just say something just to
Absolutely.
close off the call. Thank you,
Go ahead.
everybody. I'm honored to be on this platform. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Alka, and thank you for all the audience who have joined. I'm here. If you want to reach out to me, just with a question, you're struggling with anything, send me a text. Alka has my number. Reach out to Alka, send me an email. I'm always here to help with anything you want. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. These are difficult times, but we're going to get through them together. Stay calm, stay safe, stay strong. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.